Okay, thank you, Hannah. Thank you for having all of us today. It is always a pleasure participating and supporting the Game Development Days in Graz. So thank you for hosting this event. Thank you for just being here. You know the whole drill that I do every year. So just thank you to you and your whole team. So this year, it's something really, really special because we managed as a group, it's always a group effort and a team effort, like creating a game. As a group, we managed to convince Steam for the first time to make sure that Austria becomes visible as a country of game development, something that not a lot of people know, especially in our own country. Politicians and people in economics, decision makers don't even know that we exist. So our job, everyone's job, everyone who's working in game development should be an ambassador for the entire scene to make sure that everyone knows that we are existing, that there are jobs, that it's a cool profession, it's something for the future, it's stable, secure. And that's the reason, to get to the point, that Steam allowed us to have an Austrian, a national sale themed with Austria, the topic of Austria, and the topic in the title is Games Made in Austria. And what's really cool is that so many developers, smaller ones and large ones that you hear later on, really agreed to participate. And we have more than 40 titles to show over the entire weekend. The sale is already on since 9 o'clock this morning. The site is also available, so you can already take a look at the games and get an overview. And it's really cool to have the chance to bring Austria as a country for game development on the map, on the global map of game development of our industry, because so many people don't know that we actually exist and that there's a small flag of developers here in this country. And it's really cool to see that after a few years, we invested a lot in the last couple of years just to be mindful and vocal about us and the industry as an entity. If you remember, we started with Konstantin Mitkuc at GDC, I think 3 or 4 years ago, where we had a Spielschön event and tried to be present at a large global conference. If you remember, conference, analog, meeting people in the same room. Been a while, but that was the first try that we, in the first initiative that we had to present games made in Austria. And now we are really able, on a global scale, with the power of Steam, with, I don't know, they're saying they have more than 1 trillion impressions, page impressions per day, and I don't know how many million concurrent users per day. So that's a huge win for all of us, just to being visible and present. And if you had already the chance to take a look at the product page, the good thing is actually or still ahead of us, because the product page is online, thanks to Alex and his hard work. But the cool thing is that Steam is actually giving us a feature on the landing page. So for 24 hours, Austrian Games and games made in Austria will be visible for every user globally when they surf and open the Steam main page. It starts. It's a thing. It's not a flat thing. The Earth is a is not a flat surface. So we have different time zones, and Steam is an American company. So the feature starts at 10 a.m. Pacific. So this is gonna be 7 p.m. Austrian time. So don't miss this at 7 o'clock this evening. Go to Steam and celebrate Austrian games made in Austria featured on the main page of Steam. That's really a cool thing, and everyone involved and the entire industry should just clap on each other on their shoulder to make this happen together as a team effort. So I'd like to say thank you. I don't want to mention anyone specific besides Alex because so many people were involved. So I thank everyone, and it's so cool to have that achieved. Thank you.
This is so good. Like, this is like the real applause from my side. This is so good what you achieved, and this is so exciting. And can we have please a really big virtual applause also on Twitch? Thank you everyone for doing that. This is grand news. This is so exciting. I'm looking forward to throw all my money into this store and over the weekend. And Alex, would you like to give a little bit of an overview of what is happening at the Steam store? And I can see already a lot of virtual hype, by the way, just saying.
Very good. Yeah, the whole idea was born, I think, last fall already, where we wanted to make a Steam sale, Austrian-wide Steam sale. Sadly, we didn't manage to get in touch with Steam that fast, so we pushed it back a bit. And overall, we have now over 40 different games from a lot of different developers, really small indie studios to really huge studios like THQ also, who is also part here. Thank you. And we really tried to get a broad overview of the Austrian development scene here. So it was open to everyone to partake. We really try to reach out to everyone and get all the games we can get on board. And also thanks to Steam, they supported us with setting up the whole thing and provided us with the information. They also were so kind and localized the whole thing into different languages. So I just checked it out today. We have also a Japanese version for that, for example. So they really put in quite some effort there. And yeah, it took about, I would need to check, but I think it was from my side. So that's also thanks to Still Alive Studios, who I'm a employee for and who basically made my time available for this. So I spent, I think, 1 work week completely just on this to organize everything and to get everything up and running and get the connections going. So yeah, but finally it's here, and I'm super happy that it's going that well. We already have some broadcasting running there. We got some really nice art from Raimund from Lost in the Garden. And yeah, overall it looks amazing.
Thank you so much again. I'm so looking forward to look at all the games on the weekend, and really, I mean, I think my library is already pretty full of Austrian games, but I'm pretty sure that there's some.
It's also a nice catalog to check if you got all of them.
Exactly, it's like, did I catch all of them already? Tick boxes, and it's growing constantly. This is also so lovely to see in the Austrian community that it's spreading. And I think yeah, because we are already talking about growing, spreading, should we directly start with talking about THQ Nordic a little bit? Martin Kreuch, do you want to give us a little bit of an overview?
Happy to do so. Well, first of all, hi, I'm Martin Kreuch, senior producer at THQ Nordic. So for those of you who don't know us yet, we're a publisher based in Vienna. We're also part of the bigger group Embracer, where you have Handy Games, you have Deep Silver, Koch Media. So by now we're I think you could say a global player in the games field. I was the producer on this SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. We don't yet have an award for the longest game title, but we're still waiting for it. So this is a remake of a PS2 classic for all the SpongeBob fans. And yeah, very happy to see it in the sale. Also, if you haven't grabbed it yet, it's 50% off, so that's quite nice. Also very much appreciate the Graz clock tower in the artwork of the Dev Days, as I'm from Graz. And apart from that, I was producer on Destroy All Humans, which was not created in Austria, but still a great game, also remake. Yes, what can I say in terms of Austrian development? Purple Lamp is the developer of SpongeBob. So they are based in Vienna. A lot of the team is from the former developer Sproing, who is the ex-developer of Panzer Tactics HD, which is also part of the sale. And yes, so it's been great working on a game where you can literally, walk 2 streets over to the developer. So that was a cool experience on the game, being able to really, we had 0 calls. So this was like the shift to the pandemic was pretty extreme. So we had, because we would always just meet up in person, because our offices are 2 streets away from each other. And it was a very collaborative process, which is how in general we like to work with developers. Purple Lamp by now is actually part of the group. So Purple Lamp was acquired by THQ Nordic last autumn to basically, further the deep connection between the 2 companies. And we are working already on new projects with them, but I'm unfortunately not allowed yet to tease or tell what it is.
Thank you so much. We will hear a talk about from Purple Land about SpongeBob Rehydrated and so on and so forth later also at 2:30. So stay tuned also for this one. Thank you so much. Yeah, this is crazy. It's so good what is going on in Austria, how this is growing, and there have been so many things happening like during the pandemic. This is crazy. But maybe we can all discuss this a little bit later. I would just like to discuss or go on a little bit with the introduction and talk a little bit about the games. Verena, do you want to continue?
Yes, of course. So hi, I'm Verena or Ren, and I'm here to kind of like represent the teeny tiny studios which have been mentioned before from Austria. I'm part of a team of 4 people called Follow the Feathers. We're from all over Austria and founded our studio in 2018 in Vienna. And we just released our first game called Weaving Tides, which is a cozy adventure for Nintendo Switch and Steam, and set in a world made of magic and cloth.
Thank you so much. Verena gave a really cool talk also about how to be successful on Kickstarter last year. So they had a really cool Kickstarter campaign happening. So if you have any questions, Verena and the team around Follow the Feathers is a really, really good place to go and ask questions, if we may. And Daniel, veteran from the GameDev Days, I think you gave one of the first talks at the GameDev Days, as when I remember correctly.
Be right. Not sure if it was the first GameDev Day or the second, but yeah, pretty early. It was great. Thanks for having me again here, and thanks for everyone involved that we are able to be part of the Austrian Steam sales. Like, I'm co-founder of Green Hat Games. We did GameDev Tycoon. Technically, we are an Australian game company, but I'm living in Graz. I'm working in Graz, and so the game is at least half made in Austria. And the mobile version and the Switch version of the game is completely from Graz. because it was done by Rarebyte, which is a game company in Graz as well, as you know. So I'm pretty excited about seeing so many Austrian games in the Steam sale. Yeah, I don't know. There's not much more to say.
Thank you so much. So what I would suggest, I will also read a little bit the chat in between. So dear chat, if you have any questions, if anyone has any questions, also feel free to ask them in between. And I would just love to talk a little bit about the Austrian scene with all of you. I mean, one topic which I find really, really interesting, it seems like even though we had difficult times due to the pandemic, but actually I really saw a lot of studios popping up. What are your thoughts on that? What is your point of view here, and why do you think this is happening?
Well, go first.
Yeah, I'll start. Like we founded our company completely remote, right? So I know the challenges of complete remote working, and I know the advantages as well. And I think one key fact here is it's just cheaper. Like, you don't need an office. You don't. Everyone, or at least if there are multiple founders, they have their own equipment. You don't need to invest so much things up front to get a company going, right? Like finding office, renting office, getting everyone together, finding employees in a local area is also a bigger struggle than just searching worldwide, right? So I guess that's one fact of that.
What about, like, I mean, I would love to hear a little bit also the take on from THQ Nordic here. What is your take on that? I mean,
I'll try. The problem is outside there's a gardener, and so that's why I mute myself here and there when he chops down half.
It just gives the audience the sense that we are live. So everyone, this is happening. This is real.
As you can hear, this is live. This is home office. Yes, I think that I can echo what Daniel said. I don't know how much you hear it.
It's okay.
Not that bad.
Yes, working remotely is definitely has its perks. I do think it has its challenges. So we released both of our remakes last year. So both my games released right in the first wave of the pandemic. So we had to very kind of abruptly change to home office with the entire team. Both teams handled that very, very well. I think was very exceptional effort to have to switch gear like that so quickly. And I think it's I'm a big fan of especially for creative discussions, to be able to sit in one room. I think it does create a slightly different energy. But yeah, both sides have their perks, and I think especially for a country like Austria, where the scene is still growing, the possibility to be able to work remotely is especially helpful because of before you have a certain level of amount of development studios, obviously people are reluctant to move to your country because they think, well, if you fire me or if your game doesn't work out, there's no other company that I can switch to. So as soon as you have like a certain amount of of studios building up in any kind of area of work, the chances are higher that high-level talent will come here, because the living quality is definitely not what would people keep from coming to Austria. So neither Vienna, I think either Vienna or Graz, both are amazing places to live. And then it's really more about do you see the opportunities? And I think that's great for people to see that we've got people from around the world joining Purple Lamp, joining our teams, joining our team at THQ Nordic, and you can see that people are noticing that there's something growing here, and I'm positive this will continue like this, and I'm sure we as a Austrian publisher will be on the forefront of driving that growth.
Thank you so much. I mean, the cool thing, I mean, if people think about Austria, I mean, immediately like culture and art are in the thoughts of many, like
And yodeling.
Yodeling.
And Schwarzenegger.
Yodeling, Schwarzenegger.
Kind of stuff. Yeah.
But like, let me go a different route here. So I was thinking of like art, music, this sense of, I don't know, a culture. What do you think like does this sort of influence also the games in Austria, or are there any specific patterns which you can see in Austrian games? Are there any, I don't know, things which are more likely to developed in Austria or inspiring Austrian games? What is your take on that?
Should I answer?
Whoever wants to.
I think that'd be a question for the developers probably.
Yeah, maybe Martin, for you that would be.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I would actually also like to add something to be a bit more controversial to what Daniel and Martin also said, that we have a bit of a discussion going on if I put different arguments on the table. I understand the arguments from a financial point of view, going remotely, but what I think that the same mistake that a lot of people did when outsourcing got big, and that's not yesterday, but that was 2003-2004, outsourcing started to become a big thing in the industry. Everyone thought, outsourcing is cheaper. And then they realized, oh, it's actually not, but you have more options to scale the team and the studio. And I think the same thing is going to happen with the remote work. Yes, it might be cheaper because you don't need the office space. But what you underestimate is the amount of time that you need to invest to keep the team together, and how much more time you need to invest in calls, meetings, making sure that your team is doing well. And I think every one of us in the management role has seen that in the last 12 to 15 months, that is more time consuming and a bit cumbersome just to make sure that everyone is fine at home when everything is distributed. So I wouldn't underestimate when you put a tag on it, a price tag on it. I mean, if you have 400 people and reduce the office space to 200, I agree, that's going to be cheaper. But in the scaling that we are talking between, I don't know, small studios like we had from Verena with 4 people to the largest studio in Austria with 90 people, I think the cost for the office space will match, not the same, but it will be close to equal to what you need to spend extra in just time of management and lead level to make sure that everyone is happy. Just to put that out there.
Sorry, I think the same is true for smaller teams as well. Like it's a lot of effort not having an office, and it costs a lot of things. I was just saying that starting a company is easier, like just getting to start something, right? Like No, there I agree. I mean, starting something is the most difficult part, even though it became a little bit easier over the years. And this is something that with all the negative feedback that the government always gets, we just have to be fair also in Austria, that in the last 10 years, a lot of things happened on the startup level and things became easier also for our industry, even though we're always lacking, because coming back to my initial statement, visibility, I hope this is going to get better in the near future. So it will also easier for us to get access to equity money, for example. But it's for us, the companies that are around, it's more difficult to keep it running and keep it sustainable, and that's the tricky part. To be able to run a company for 5 or 10 years, starting something, as you said, you can take the risk, you can manage the costs, but if you have already something, and then you need to first get sustainable and then profitable, and that's the tricky part. And there you see whether you're able to survive and build something, something stable. That's the most thing, yeah. But sorry, I was sidetracking to answer Johannes' question.
No. I love fights, so let's continue with the fight.
Go.
No. I'm too old for that. I don't want to fight anymore.
Yeah, but just to jump in there, we, for example, we started also rather small, and I worked my whole career at Still Life Studios remotely. And we had quite good experience, but we also noticed that in the shift of the pandemic, basically that not everybody can work good from home office. So we needed to coach a few people to that they don't, for example, this split between work and life is way harder than. But at least as far as I understood it, a lot of people basically want now also, which are at home in Innsbruck, want now to basically not come every day into the office, but work sometimes from home office, because it's just, it saves a lot of time and it adds to the life quality.
Yeah, if I just may, that's also side tracking, but that's an important topic for me for the last 20 years or something, is I'm really tired and I'm really sometimes really upset of hearing from old economy that how cool they are with new way of work, with doing agile and all that nonsense, that they feel like, pooh, we invented it yesterday and we're a cool company from banks, insurances, whatnot. And the reason why the pandemic also worked well for us is we are there. We're not. There's nothing new for us. And if I hear for a lot of old economy people that remote working is a trust issue, I mean, you know, we would like to get rid of a lot of labor law things, not in order to undermine the protection for the employee, but just to make it easier and more flexible for everyone, in the interest of the employee and the team members. So I think everyone agrees that Austria is a very good country for being employed, very well protected. This is also a big advantage and the selling point when you speak to expats, bringing them to Austria. This is an eye-opener what Austria offers based on the labor law, nothing that is a voluntary benefit from a company that can be taken away. In Austria, that's for granted due to labor law. I think that's a good thing. So I don't think that we would like to undermine things, but make it a little bit more flexible. For example, trusting your employee with time and reporting and so on. And if you don't trust your employee that he's doing something, if someone is not working in the office, he won't work from a remote office as well. So, you know, if someone is not willing to carry weight, doesn't matter where he is. So this is one important thing there, that we are already at the forefront of many things that other industries trying to sell as the next huge big thing. If you look at newspapers, magazines and stuff like that, HR related, you read things that are common and standard in our industry for more than 15 years. Also goal related working. I mean, who wants to tick off checkboxes all the time and do micromanagement? And we are also an industry that is, project focused. When you talk to old industries, bank and insurance companies, for example, the team there, they are happy that for the next month, I'm allowed to work on a project and I'm not working on my day-to-day business. If we don't have a project, we don't exist. We only have projects in our industry. I think that's a huge difference from a creative point of view and from a motivation point of view, and also how we handle goals, targets, and so on. So everything that is now, discussed in public is something that we have achieved as an industry for a long time now. And the industry has improved over the years, especially in Austria. Falling back to the labor law thing, I think we're able to offer a stable and good job and a stable environment, safe environment for all the genders that are out there. So we always, and it's also my thing that I always repeat, convincing parents that it's safe to send their kids to an education in games, that there are jobs. Also, as Martin said, it's a small industry, it's growing. It should be in all our interest to create a talent pool of a critical mass that it's also easier to shift around, and it should also be in our interest of all studios. And this is something that is actually happening quite well and good in Austria, that we are not seeing us as competitors like in Germany, for example. We're speaking with each other, we're helping each other, and the next step will be when we reach this critical mass that we're also exchanging the talent pool with each other. We all would profit from that. I think that's the most important part, besides the external things that we are it's not so easy to influence, but these things we can manage ourselves. And this is the important step for an industry. It's the next important step for us as an industry to be even more successful as we already are.
Yeah, I can definitely echo that, parents should think about the fact, like, this is an industry that this has grown through, no matter what the crises were in the last, you know, whatever, 20 years.
Always 10%
games just keep,
plus per year.
yeah, we're just always growing. It's a good bet for the future that this is not going to stop anytime soon. It's a very fast changing industry. We all know that. And it may change more than other industries in terms of what's popular, what kind of business structures are popular, and how do you make money from your games. That changes maybe more than in more traditional industries. But overall, you know, it's how many industries are there where you can just safely say, yeah, this industry is going to grow until you're gone. So there's not so many industries out there. I do have to, because you like controversies, I do have to say that since I work with the wonderful publisher Black Forest Games, that the German studios also do collaborate, and they don't all see each other as competitors. They also see each other as you know, a cooperative force to further the entire industry in Germany. I think they're facing similar challenges, already on a slightly bigger scale, but still, you know, you've got cultural things, then you've got just in terms of where you are, which language is spoken in your country, and so on and so forth. There's always different challenges for each country on making an industry work. But I think Austria is well placed for, you know, keeping the growth going and making great games. And this is a wonderful first step, but another big step to showing the world what's out there. Yeah.
I must also say, I think the game industry, especially in Austria, I can't talk about other countries, but here in Austria, it's really, really welcoming. So, and it's very open. So if you go to one of the events, you meet basically, go to a few events and you know all the CEOs and a large persons of the industry in a few days. And I never never saw an experience where not somebody who is new to the scene or or wants to get into this scene had problems. So my experience is always that the industry really wants new members. We want to grow. We welcome everybody who comes here, and it's if you go to events. So I can only emphasize, if you're interested in the game industry, or I tell that also to my students, go to the events. Try it. I mean, now past year was hard, but it's getting better. Go to the events. Just being around there, you don't need to talk already to everybody there, but just be there. Maybe talk to a few persons there. You get to know the scene. It's really, really nice. I can. For example, besides the GameDev Days Graz days in Vienna, there are the GameDev meetups and the Subotron, which is super nice to be there. And I think, I'm not sure how it's in Graz, but in Innsbruck, there's sometimes a Terror meetup where you can go and meet people.
Meetups, I think, are in different regions, also in Carinthia.
Salzburg as well, yeah.
Yeah. So if you're interested, go there, meet the people. It's super welcoming. You don't need to be afraid that anybody is eating you. Yeah, and that's really something I like at the scene. Also, that you mentioned, we are cooperating. So when we need something, or when we have questions from our side, or for me as a designer especially, I sometimes reach out to different designers and ask about it. I mean, with Daniel, we talked about, because we had developed similar games, we had a chat about, hey, how do you solve these problems? And how did we do that? And so on. And it's just really a very welcoming and, let's say, warm experience. It's nice to be in this scene.
That's fantastic here. That's true. Like, it doesn't matter where you go, meetups and stuff, it's always welcoming and the warm thing. Like, it's just a wonderful experience, and talking to other industry members as well, like Alex said. So
to forget that many companies are using those meetups as networking and also as a recruiting platform. So it's a good chance that you meet your future employer on such a meeting. So that's really, really important. Yeah. And also, you know, I'm a very old person, so I just also would like to always put that out there, that when we started, there was no education at all. There was no, internet there was, but there was, email was not common. There was no smartphone when the industry in Austria started, and there was no networking. So the first networking started with the IGDA Vienna chapter in 2003. 2006 was the first school. Yeah, smartphones, yeah, real smartphones today have been invented or introduced to the market in 2006-7. So that's, everything moved super fast in the last 15 years. And now it's really easy to connect. And this is something that we didn't have. People tend to forget that beginning of the 0 years, normal people didn't know what email was. So it's, yeah, no, sorry, I'm just old. All good.
I just need to point out the comment. So in the chat, which I just read, so the Austrian scene can be rather compared with Animal Crossing than Resident Evil. So yeah, so we are basically an Animal Crossing like that.
Yeah,
no,
that's a good one. Yeah, yeah.
Not
Yeah.
sure if there's any game industry out there though that in any country that's like Resident Evil. But
I mean I like challenges. Yeah, but I can just like really underline what was just said. Like I think like this is one of the nicest things in Austria, that this community, like we really like each other, like actually that's true liking. And we work together, really lovely, like all the different events and communities, so there's no rivalry or anything. And I think this is a very inviting community, no matter whether you're a veteran or if you're entirely new, or if you just want to get eventually in the future into this industry. So I think if you are nice, then you are always welcome in this community, and people will be also nice back. Yeah, well. So I just want to go back to the Steam sale, right? This is actually what we wanted to talk about today. I want to, so my fancy screen sharing works differently in the setup. There we go. No, does it really work? Okay. So my fancy screen sharing, really, I want to point out how cool the Steam sale is, what is happening there. There are so many cool games. And something which I noticed, I just need to ask this question because I am personally super interested about that. Why do we have so many simulator games in Austria and tycoons? What is happening? I mean, I love them. I'm just curious. We have. There are. I feel like, especially in Austria and Germany, people tend to develop and play a lot of simulator games. Is this just me, or is this a fact?
As far as I'm aware, that was 15 years, 20 years back already the case. Like Germany was always known as playing simulation games and loving simulation games, and of course producing simulation games.
Depending on what you define as simulation game, would you say something like Industry Giant is also a simulation game in that regard, or not?
Yes, kind of.
Yeah, then yes. So Wirtschaftssimulation and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean we have a lot of tycoons in there. We have also some job simulation games, and I mean. For us, it's probably, so for the bus simulator, it's just that basically we now have a quite good partnership with Astragon, who develops those, so who has the license for those things, and we work with them together to create new bus simulators, and they sell quite well, so that's why we're continuing with it.
I think that Daniel brings it to the point. It's definitely connected to the audience, and we must not forget that the first game company in Austria, the first limited company that was founded in 1991, Max Design, not in Vienna, in Styria. So hail to the Styrian people who basically laid the ground for the game industry in Austria. 1991, first company, and that their most famous product is still around in the industry. It's Anno. It's one of the most successful franchises ever developed in Austria, and is still around after what I think the first was released in 94 or 5. They had 2 or 3 hits before, but Anno was then the big global seller. And it's 25 years later, it's still there. So
yeah, I think a lot.
Jowood was there as well, right?
Yeah.
Jowood was the third company. Max Design first, 1991, Neo Software, Aquarox de Vienna, 1993, and Chowood, 1995. Yeah. But 2 steering companies, 1 from Vienna. Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of people don't even know how many large franchises are born in Austria. So, for example, Anno, that's probably one of the biggest one, which is still around. But I'm not sure. Did you say Aquanox, right? Was that Austrian?
Aquanox was Chowood, but it was published in. It was developed in Berlin.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just recently actually released the 3rd follow-up on Aquanox, Aquanox Deep Descent. Yeah. That was more or less the first game, the first game I saw when I entered the back then Nordic Games industry here in Vienna. Yeah. So the first prototype of Aquanox, that's almost 10 years ago now. So
it was at one point, it was people don't remember that we had print magazines in games, and the print magazines had DVDs and before that CDs on their cover, and at one point the German print magazines were running around in the industry and basically begging for licenses of games that they could put on the CD, and Aquanox 1 I think was once on the PC game CD cover, I don't know, in 2002 or 3 or something, I don't know, was the first.
Yeah, it was even basically was one of those benchmark games where you could test out how powerful your PC was back then. So it was one of those, I can run it kind of games, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. No, it was one of the first, at least that I remember, the first complete underwater experience. Was well balanced and made a lot of fun back then.
Yeah, it still does. It's just a great thing. It's still I mean, there's obviously other underwater games by now as well. But I think in terms of the earliest one was Schleichfahrt, which is, for some, even for the really hardcore, more simulation people, this was always the game where you really just see like a meter in front of you. So it's really, really accurate under deep sea underwater. And Aquanox was always a bit more, it's a bit more casual in terms of that it's not complete darkness, but it's still, I think, the only underwater game that really leads into the deep sea, like really into the dark parts of the sea, and not those first 3 meters with the pretty coral stuff and so on and so forth, but really the stuff where, where the abyss and stuff like this kind of goes.
Yeah, but just to bring in also Verena, I think that we're talking about simulation games, but I think that what's also the core and cool about the Austrian scene is that they're always very innovative products are coming out. And I think Weaving the Feather is one of the most visual stunning and innovative games that I've seen in many years coming from Austria. So congrats to your release. It's a really cool and lovely game, especially for a first title. So congrats to the entire team. And please, everyone in the audience, just give it a try. It's really worth time and money that you spend on it.
This is such an innovative, not only like artistic, but also like from the game design perspective, game mechanic, really well done. And I wanted to throw the ball there in the beginning when I talked about art and Austria, Martin, to sing.
Well, I have the privilege of being born a long time ago, so I'm trying to be. I actually don't want to be this old person in Austria, but it comes with the age and with the amount of years I'm spending here that people are approaching me, and I'm happy just to make sure that everyone gets the spotlight, because we had in our age spotlight enough. It's about the next generation and the new faces in Austria that should get the spotlight and should be on the stage and should talk about their games. Irina, now it's your chance.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I felt like I wanted to let the more knowledgeable people talk first. I don't even know how to continue that conversation. We have so many so beautiful games in Austria, and like Joey said before, I feel like there is some influence of Austria in some of the games, like for example, I feel like the Lion Song by Mipumi has some heavy Austrian influence, but also Broken Rules, one of their first games, Secrets of Reticon has the beautiful landscape in the background, the mountains which were inspired by Austria. So I feel like there is a lot of Austrian inspiration. And even if it's not directly visually in the game itself, I feel like all of us influence each other a lot. We talked about the community, and our team, we exchanged a lot of ideas and just our experiences with other studios. And I believe Weaving Tides doesn't have like the very obvious Austrian label on the front cover, but it wouldn't be the same game if it wasn't for the community here. We got feedback, for example, from Alex, who's here with us today, and also from a lot of other studios. And I think we wouldn't have been able to make the game if we wouldn't have been able to ask other studios, like, how do you even found a company? How do you find financing for your project? And yeah, I think it's very important that we can keep this conversation going, that we can invite new people in, new voices in, and that we can have a really diverse landscape of games. And when you mentioned the simulation games before, I really had to smile a lot, because it's something so very German, like managing things. I don't know, it's a very big stereotype in German-speaking countries that we are so precise and that we have to manage everything. So I feel like it's something that's very on the nose, but it's something that we can share with pride, that simulation is something from German-speaking countries and Austria, of course. So yeah. I don't know. I feel like there are so many so different games, so you really have to check them out. There are also some games which are very beautiful from a narrative perspective, like the newest game from Clockwork Bird, Silicon Dreams. I played it some time ago, and I was just amazed by the characters in that game. They are androids, but yet they feel so very alive. And yeah, I'm just very proud of everything everyone is doing. I don't know, I feel like because we're so connected, we can be also very proud of each other and enjoy each other's creations.
Thank you so much. This has been an exciting part of the program today. So I was so excited when I've heard for the first time about this Austrian Steam sale. Everyone, this is something special. This is really something special and something grand which is happening. And I feel the Austrian game development scene is so diverse. It's growing in all different directions. It's really combining innovation and art and a lot of simulation. And it's just like a really fantastic place to be. And yeah, I can just underline also, like for instance, Weaving Tides, this which is also on sale at the moment. We're also the Saga winners from last year. The Saga is the prize we're giving every year for the most promising games developed in Austria. And we have many nominees, which I can also see in this in the sale right now. So this is really beautiful to see what is happening and what is coming from Austria. So I'm super happy and proud to be part of this scene, and I'm really thankful for all you to develop those games that I can spend my weekends and evenings and breaks playing them. And yeah, well, so I would like to wrap it up. I don't know if anyone still wants to add something. Yes, Martin,
Yeah, I'm sorry. I actually don't want to speak that much, but I would like just to pick up what Verena said about how difficult it is to start a company. Even though Alex said it's quite easy to meet people, but it's still quite difficult to enter the industry with an employment or a contract, whatever. That is what it is, and it's still small, so it's difficult to get internships and so on. And I just need to do a bit of promotion here. The Steam sale was mainly driven by Alexander Grenos and Still Alive Studios in collaboration with the Pioneers. That's the association that represents the Austrian game developers. And for the first time, we have something, an infrastructure that is carried by senior people in the industry, senior studios in Austria that are not doing this for themselves to stand in the spotlight. We're doing all of this in our free spare time just to drive the industry forward and to help young people, graduates, to enter the industry, commercialize their master projects and so on, collaborating closely with facilities and universities like Johanna in Graz. So that's really important for us, and that's a huge win for the industry and also for the pioneers. And what I would like to say is that we are here for all of you. So if you have questions about legal things, economic things, commercial things, business plans, and so on, please don't hold back. Reach out to us. I know that we have a not so nice looking website at the moment. That was just a temporary thing that became temporary, permanent, quite long now, for a long time. But I can promise you that next week there will be a new website online, which will be a portal that will help all of us to gain visibility. And in this case, someone most of you already know, Elena. She's an international expat working at Mipumi with us. She's responsible for communication, and she's driving also the communication for the Steam sale today. And if you have anything that you would like to spread on a country level, not on the district level, there are still the meetups. We don't want to interfere with them and don't want to take anything away, but we would like to offer a platform for everyone because, again, it's about visibility. And if pioneers can help to gain visibility with politics and economic decision makers, then we've done our job. And just reach out to us. You know, there are enough channels available to reach us, and there are a lot of people and ambassadors in each district that you can reach out to. So sorry, end of promotion. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, well, then thanks so much for everyone, first of all, for putting this together and also for giving us a little bit insights about like your games and also the Austrian scene. Just as a little bit of a heads up, so we have prepared a voice channel now, which is called Celebrating Austrian Games. So I don't know if any one of you still has some times for a little bit of a discussion, but basically everyone who just wants to join into a discussion about celebrating Austrian games. And I read a lot of like nostalgic talks about old Austrian games, old simulation games, and so on and so forth in the Twitch chat. So this channel is also a little bit about just celebrating the Austrian games and the start of the sales team together on Discord. So everyone who wants to join, also from the speakers, if you have time and if you want to join, you are super free to join. Thank you so much. And yeah, virtual applause and from my side, a real applause, of course, for you. And please, virtual applause for our fantastic team of the Austrian game development scene. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Okay, and next up is already our next speaker. We have an Austrian special happening today, so this will be very exciting, and we have Georg Hobmeier joining us in a couple of minutes, so stay tuned.